Welcome everyone to the Recreation and Parks Commission meeting. It is Wednesday, May 21st, and we're going to call the meeting to order at exactly 6:30. We're just going to do roll call really quick to make sure we can note who's here. Commissioner LaFleur.
Here.
Commissioner Hurt.
Here.
Commissioner Marigo.
Here. Commissioner
Ono.
Here.
Commissioner Siegel.
Here.
Commissioner Vink.
Here.
And I am here, and we'll note that Commissioner Redmond is out today. All right. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Motion passes. There's 7 of us today? Wow. All right. Full house. Okay. That's exciting. All right. Next item, number 3, brief announcements from the staff, then commissioners and any staff liaisons. So Deanna or Tamika, I'll turn over to you guys for any announcements.
Yes, good evening, Commission. Tonight we'll be updating, I think, on several outreach efforts that the department has undertaken over the last month since we've met. One of those was in support of our skate park project at Community Park. We had a very robust public meeting. In fact, it ended up being standing room only. One of our most attended public meetings in recent memory. In fact, I think it was like, we counted 60 plus people of all ages, from 70 to 5 years old, attended to give feedback on what they wanted to see most in the way of the skate park design. And leading that meeting was Grindline, who is our selected contractor for the design of that skate park and the build as well. So what happens now is all of that feedback, they went person by person through the whole room, collected all of the feedback. Grindline then goes back to their headquarters, which I believe is in Washington, and then they do several different mock-up designs that they will then bring back to the community for a second community outreach meeting, in which they will start to take iterative feedback on the mock-ups that are presented, and then we'll ultimately have our final design. We do not have the date for that second meeting just yet, but we will certainly be sending that information out to the commission. Encourage all of you to come if you would like, and we will of course be posting all of that on social media as well. So
we also had the outreach event, a couple outreach events for the inclusive playground design over at Playfields Park. So we had one on May 8th, which was at the senior center. We had about 12 participants, 2 children that came, giving their feedback about the theme of the playground and then the different elements that they would like to see in there. We had giant poster boards, and they could put their dots on which design element they preferred. Then those boards went out to Celebrate Davis, so if any of you were out there and saw, hopefully you were able to cast your vote as well. Had over 100 participants engage with Jillian Leduc, who is our ADA coordinator, and also give feedback and cast their votes. We have a survey that's been open for about a week and a half. It will close on Friday, so hopefully you've gone in and taken a look at that and given your feedback for the different elements as well. It's just another way. Today, when I looked at it, we had over 165 responses, so I think that's pretty robust for our playground design. And it's still open, so hopefully we'll get even more. And then we will have our conceptual design meeting on site out at Playfields Park on June 24th from 6 to 7 p.m. And that is where the designers will take all of this feedback from the in-person events, the poster board voting, the survey information, and then come up with 2 conceptual designs with all of that feedback and present it out to our community members who are there to say which one do you prefer. And then once we refine that, then we'll go through and get a final design that we'll bring forward to commission and then to council, with our application being submitted in for the grant by August 5th.
Great. Any commissioner announcements? Commissioner Marigo.
I have one just on the Natalie Corona splash pad. If you've driven by it lately, they've actually taken down some of the blankets so you can actually go in and see, but the base is down, a lot of the fixtures are up. They just installed the for the canopies that are going over it, the base, or the arms for there, are there, so we're getting close. Hopefully, grand opening is late July, early August, probably more early August than it's gonna be, but it's getting close. We're really excited. A bunch of the pavers are down that people had engraved. I saw those there the other day, so that was cool to see. I'd love to be able to go up and look at it, but it's all coming together. And the commission that put it has raised all the money. We actually raised $100,000 over the expectations, so we're taking that $100,000 and putting it towards maintenance for the future and working with the city council to pass to where they put in a particular amount of money per year for future maintenance into it.
That's great. Thank you for that update. Is there any other commissioners? Go ahead, Commissioner LaFleur.
Going back to that design exercise, I was really impressed with the public interest in that at Celebrate Davis. So I was there at the booth for a couple hours, and people were really into it. Kids really like putting the dots, but if you actually talked with them, they were really looking at the concepts, and so I was very impressed with that. You mentioned there's an August 5 deadline for a grant. What's the grant source on that?
It's the grant for the Land Water Conservation Fund, and so we're submitting a grant, and it's a 50% matching grant. So we're working with a grant writer to help us make it competitive, to be able to put in a playground at Playfields with like the different sustainable elements in the pollinators garden and landscaping.
So that's the federal LWCF, right?
Correct.
Do we ever read on the availability of those federal funds at this point?
It sounds so far so good that it's still there. It sounds like from the grant writer that it's going through the state and that they haven't heard of anything about it not continuing. That was last month, I think, when we had our meeting with the grant writer, so.
And there are specific funds. I think the key point is that there's specific funds within that are earmarked specifically for inclusive playgrounds. So we're hopeful that, of course, that this design, is going to be competitive enough, given some of our other constraints, to, get us at least past the first interview.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed then in those federal funds. We've all been hearing the news. So,
Yes.
other item I had was I got a note from Explore Science Center. It sounds like they're doing what they're calling pausing their summer class activities. I know that they've had quite a program list over the years, and it sounds like their funding model just isn't working anymore. I don't know what that means for the long term, but I was wondering, does the city have an interest in what happens over at that science center or at the building, potential future uses? I don't know, assuming some programming, since they're popular programs, is there some relationship there, or maybe in the future to look at what happens?
The building is a city-owned building, so there have not been any discussions at this point about what is to become, of anything at this point. But certainly, we're willing to work with Explore It if they have a need to, for example, move any enrolled kids into anything that we're offering. Happy to, work with them to let them know what availability we have in terms of open and available classes for the summer, so that there's less impacts to families who might have already made their plans through Explore It and can no longer, take those classes. But as to future plans, I think we just wait and see what Explore It does with their model and what they end up ultimately deciding to do.
Yeah, it certainly seems like if there was a change of direction over there, that you could do quite a bit with that building in terms of resources, and there's a full kitchen in there, and I don't know. So it looks like something that look forward at and see if there's any potential down the way. That's all.
All right, great. Any other commissioner announcements? I know we have no other staffs here, so we'll go ahead and move on here. All right, so we're moving on to item number 4, to public comment. This is for the commission to receive comments. Just a reminder, except for brief questions for clarification, no discussion or actions may be taken on the item that is not listed on the agenda. During public comment, a member of the public may address the commission on matters not listed on this agenda or are listed on the consent calendar. If possible, citizens should reserve their comments for regular matters listed on the agenda at the time the item is considered by the commission. Speakers will be asked to line up at the podium and state their name for the record. Comments are limited to no more than 3 minutes per speaker. Do we have any public comments?
Can I approach
Sure.
the bench?
Yep.
So, for everybody, there's two different articles.
Great.
Copy
Thank
of-
you.
Okay, good evening, commissioners. My name is Eileen Sametz. I'm a former planning commissioner in the city of Davis, and I served on the general plan update and on the subsequent housing element steering committee after that. Basically, in the early 1990s, I was one of the reps from my neighborhood near Wildhorse. There were 3 neighborhoods that we formed a coalition having representative reps from each neighborhood. Meet with the developer, because the city said, we need to either sit down and work out any concerns you have about the project or take what comes, because this was before Measure J. So basically, we met for over the course of like 4 years, and one of the first questions I asked Jeff Lux, who was the planning director at the time, was, what would prevent this golf course at Wildhorse from being developed? And he said, well, really nothing, unless you had a conservation easement. He said, but, I doubt the developers will give you that. And I said, you know what, that is a starting point, because that's the whole point of this, is to have open space and then, park use of the golf course. And so he did ask, as it turns out, fortunately, they agreed. They were under financial kind of duress at the time to get the project to move forward, so it all worked out. We negotiated for a lot of other good stuff, like the Nugget Fields is one of the reasons, one of the things we negotiated for that. So that was part of the deal, and money for other things for the city. Anyway, so basically what happened is, fast forward to like 2017, what winds up happening is there is a application from the owner at the time of the golf course. It's now asking to develop everything north, and you'll see in the article I wrote, well, there's 2 articles. One is about what I'm talking about right now, that the Enterprise is covering this celebration of this family taking over the golf course, and it's going to be like bigger and better and, robust and all that, so everybody's excited. So, but 18 months later, the same owners are applying for a 60 condos to be put on part of the golf course, which is where the conservation easement is. And that conservation easements are into perpetuity. So if you break them, even if you're using a portion of it, that is just the first bite of the apple. So the bottom line is, there was objection to this. The city reminded them about the conservation easement, and the application went away. But that turned out to be temporary, because in early 2024, he comes back with a bigger, much more aggressive project. As you can see, the article I wrote about this, because I go through the whole history of what happened. 750 units on 75 acres, which is that's a huge density, all above the channel. So of course this, upset not only the neighborhood, but environmentalists, because we're saying, we said no before because of the conservation easement, we say yeah. So anyway, the important part here is that the golf course is considered park. It is by the general plan update designation, it is park. So keep in mind that what we need is this commission to agendize this so we can give you more information, more than 3 minutes.
Yes.
And so I know, I'll wrap up, I promise. But it's important to hear this part, is that understand that if this goes forward, don't think that this can't happen to other parks, because that's where this is headed. So if it goes forward. So we really need the Parks and Rec Commission input on this. So please agendize it for your next meeting so we can give you more information.
Thank you. Hi, please state your name.
My name is Margie Longo. Good evening, commissioners. My name is Margie Longo, and myself and my family are avid golfers at Wild Horse for 26 years, and I was secretary of the Northern California Golf Association chapter at Wild Horse for 3 years recently. My 25-year-old son started playing golf at Wild Horse when he was 1.5 years old. I'm here to urge you to get prepared to advise the City Council that it is not in the city's best interest to change any portion of the Wild Horse Golf Course land from park to residential use. There have been 2 development proposals to do just that in 2018 and 2024, which were both withdrawn after community opposition. The second proposal would have converted Wild Horse from a championship-length 18-hole golf course to a small-capacity 9-hole golf course. We've heard that another proposal will be submitted soon, which is supported by their letter to the city manager saying that they still believe the Wild Horse Golf Course land is a logical and appropriate location for housing. So we are asking you to place Wild Horse Golf Course on the agenda of your next meeting to decide an appropriate agenda item to discuss related to past and future benefits of the value of Wild Horse Golf Course to the Parks and Recreation program as a whole. This issue falls squarely within your charge. The City of Davis General Plan mandates that your commission advise the council on all matters related to Parks and Recreation. Furthermore, the general plan includes a clear standard: all feasible alternatives shall be considered prior to converting parkland to other uses. This standard must be upheld in the case of Wild Horse Golf Course, which is parkland. Wild Horse Golf Course is not just a golf course, it's a vital public park asset. It is zoned as a public golf course with 100% of the tee times available to the public. It has a public conservation easement, which also requires that the owner operate it as a public golf course accessible to all. The general plan, Parks and Recreation, land use designation, and the conservation easement were approved by a vote of the public in 1995 by Measure R. Residential development on this land would violate both the spirit and the letter of our city's planning framework. The community impact of such a change would be significant. Wild Horse is the only public 18-hole championship-length golf course in Davis or within 20 miles. It serves our high school golf teams, youth with $5 rates recently. They just did Youth on Course. And it's been $12 for a really long time. So it's very cheap for youth. And seniors with affordable, accessible recreation. The Davis Municipal Golf Course, by contrast, is not a full-length course and is already at capacity. Reducing Wild Horse's footprint at all would increase pressure on the city to expand the municipal golf course, a project that was shelved in 1997 due to cost and would now easily exceed $10 million. For example, there are accounts that Wild Horse Golf Course cost $13 to $15 million to build in 1998. Furthermore, if the owner no longer wants to operate the golf course, there have been parties interested in potentially purchasing the golf course, which have been rebuffed. Wild Horse Golf Course is an Audubon-designed neighborhood public golf course bordered by the Ag Buffer Nature Trail. Therefore, Wild Horse fulfills all 4 core benefits of parks as identified in the Parks and Facilities Master Plan Citizen Survey. It provides access to nature, promotes health and wellness, protects the environment, and strengthens community bonds. It is also included in the current Parks Master Plan land use maps and is not listed among residential infill projects that would be used to fund the parks program. Development was never anticipated there.
Sorry, your time is also
Okay.
up.
All right, in closing, I request that this commission place this issue on your next agenda to get prepared to formally advise the City Council to preserve Wild Horse Golf Course. This is not about golf, just about golf. It's about protecting public space, honoring our planning commitments, and preserving the quality of life in Davis. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi,
If you can please state your name.
my name is Sharon Montooth. I've lived in Davis, I went to school in Davis from 78 to 82, and then I've lived in Davis since 2001. I am a neighbor of the Wild Horse Golf Course. I have not hit a ball on that golf course ever, so I'm going to approach it from another angle. I agree with what they say. I just want to point out the benefits of the nature trail that goes around the golf course. I raised my son here. When he was little, we walked around that nature trail. We looked at plants. We looked at animals. It was great for exercise, for mental health. As Marjorie says, the benefits of parks are provide opportunities to enjoy nature outdoors. That's definitely something you can do on that nature trail. That we have seen river otters, we have seen snakes, we've seen coyotes, we have seen all kinds of birds of prey. There was a long-eared owl that actually was found there and taken over to unfortunately it was injured, but it was taken over to the Raptor Center. But there's all kinds of wildlife out there. And it's just a fantastic place to go for a walk in the evening. I also want to say in 2020 during COVID, everybody was out there. Everybody used that trail. It was packed. So we really need to keep those trails. You can also walk from Wild Horse all the way over to West Davis without even walking on a street, thanks to that trail. So I do hope that we have further discussion on this project. I also want to reiterate what they said. The citizens of Davis voted for that conservation easement. If that is overruled, our vote becomes meaningless. So I hope you consider that. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, please state your name into the microphone, please.
Brad Sutton. Thank you for the opportunity tonight. Parks and open space are critical to physical and mental well-being for our families, especially the youth, especially in the age of social media and multiple screens. I've coached youth soccer here for 12 years in Davis and raised 2 children here, and I've witnessed the benefits of recreation for our youth. Multiple recreation venues are needed, from top lots, soccer fields, walking, running, and bike trails, and yes, golf courses. My family has and continues to benefit from the park open space. Parks are treasures in our community, providing multiple uses. Our extensive parks and recreation venues sets Davis apart from other communities. Wild Horse Golf Course is included in the land use map of the current parks master plan. It's not slotted for residential infill. Pursuant to the master plan, it's not to be developed, there shouldn't be development on the Wild Horse Golf Course. The Davis General Plan standards state, quote, feasible alternatives shall be considered prior to converting parkland to other uses, unquote. The intent there is that sometimes parks have to be taken out. If the park is in the middle of the alignment of a freeway or a levee or a reservoir that's going to be backed up from a dam, then yes, parks can sometimes be taken out. But when there's feasible alternatives, then those have to be considered. The current uses of the golf course. Many of us, or most of us, live in small lots in Davis, but we share the community parks and open space. The Wild Horse Golf Course has a public conservation easement for use for a public purpose, the public golf course. The conservation easements are perpetual, permanent restrictions. I've raised 3 children here. They went to local schools, Birch Holmes, Davis High, Da Vinci, but what all three have in common, even though they've chosen different educational paths, all 3 of my children learned to play golf on Wild Horse. My youngest son is still taking lessons. He's been taking lessons for 2 years from Michael Thomas. He's able to walk to his lessons. He's able to get physical activity, and yes, he's able to get away from his screens, which I encourage. Not only for the golf, but the conservation easement provides open space for rain to percolate into the ground. Detention basins and ponds, it holds runoff. Davis occasionally has street flooding during heavy rains. Eliminating half of the conservation easement, coupled with an increase in impervious surfaces from roofs, streets, patios, driveways, and sidewalks, will only add to flooding during heavy rain events. With climate change and increased gas house emissions, the severity of storms have been increasing. So there's a great benefit for the open space as it currently is, without compounding it with increased concrete and roofs.
Your time is up.
We should be increasing conservation easements for health and benefits of Davis. And once it's a park, it should always be a park and a conservation easement, and we shouldn't be terminating that, because once it's terminated, it's gone forever. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, if you can just talk right into the microphone and state your name.
Hi, I'm Russ Helmsley. Thank you for hearing me today. You are the lead commission on implementing the Parks and Facilities Master Plan. That plan is not sport development on the Wild Horse Golf Course. It's not listed as a residential infill project, and the city's general plan designates that area as parkland. Parkland use and the conservation easement were both approved by voters in 1995. Overturning that vote will bring outrage and lawsuits. As the only public 18-hole championship golf course within 20 miles, it's home to the Davis High School golf teams and dozens of senior leagues. It fits Davis. It belongs here. The city's general plan mandates that all alternatives need to be considered prior to converting parkland to other uses. And the wildlife conservation easement that was voted on in 1995 is in perpetuity. I think you should remind the city council of that. Converting parts of that land to residential will put incredible pressure on the Davis Municipal Golf Course, which is already at capacity and will require $10 million to expand. That expansion was delayed indefinitely in 1997. The Parks and Facilities Master Plan that you play a huge role in implementing lays out those 4 benefits of parkland in Davis, which I'm sure you're aware of. Building on even a portion of the Audubon designed golf course will begin the undermining of every single one of those benefits and will begin the obliteration of the memories my kids and their friends have of that parkland. The monetary incentives to build are great, and if even a small portion of the Wild Horse Golf Course and the wildlife conservation easement there is undone, there will be a domino effect. Other parkland will be impacted in Davis. Other parkland will be impacted around the state. It's a domino effect. And you don't know what you've got till it's gone. We depend on commissioners like each of you to stand up for our parks. It's in your interest and ours to do it. Please put this issue on your agenda for the next meeting. Thank you for serving Davis.
Thank you. Any other public comment before we move on? All right, we're gonna go ahead and close public comment. We're gonna move on.
Excuse me, if I may, I wanted to ask one question.
Go ahead.
Because I was intrigued by something that 2 of the speakers mentioned as it relates to, recreation facilities. So you stated that at one point, I think this is in 97, the city considered expanding the municipal golf course, and that was delayed. And do they still own the land? Does anybody know that?
Yeah.
So the land is still there.
Yeah, 150 acres south of the
And
municipal
so,
golf course.
okay, so that would be a potential expense for the city if there was a demand for golf. Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, so I'm gonna close public comment here. We're gonna move to item 5 in the consent calendar.
Madam Chair, before you do, just a quick question for either Deanne or Tamiko. Are you aware, is this item, because conservation easements, I think, are under the purview of what used to be called the Open Space Commission? Is that still what they're called, or they have a new name now, or do they still exist?
I think they have a new name, but yes, there is open space covered under commission. I can't think of what I think it has
Okay,
like climate
whatever that
something.
new
Also.
entity is.
Yes, and I believe that this topic is actually agendized for their June meeting. So when I was talking with Tracy Reynolds, who's the staff liaison, she said that they had a presentation at their last meeting and that it was agendized for discussion for next month.
Okay, that's why I was curious
yeah.
if it's been added to their
It is.
agenda.
It has been.
Great, thanks for clarifying. Thank you.
Go ahead.
So I guess I'm a bit confused. What is the difference between a park and open space? You say that's the open space committee, we're the park committee, but parks are clearly open spaces, no? No.
It's different. The open space will be with natural elements that may not even allow for certain areas for people to go into, whereas a park is used for recreational purposes. And the open space will have some areas that are open as far as no development, but are habitat spaces as well. So it might not be fully open for people, but for other creatures to go into.
So this area around the Wild Horse Golf Course, is that considered open space or is that considered a park? Is it designated as a park or open space?
So there's an open space easement, I believe, to the north of the property. And then the land that Wild Horse is, the golf course, is zoned as parks and recreation space, but it's zoned. It's not, we don't have purview over it in the sense that it's private. It's not city, yeah, it's not on our parks inventory, it's not our city property, it's private property, but it's zoned for parkland.
No, I guess I'm beginning to get the difference. I mean, we hike in some area that's probably considered open space, that just trees and a stream, Puda Creek goes through it.
Mhm.
So I'm still not clear exactly who has purview over what we're discussing. I found it a very interesting conversation.
Yeah, open space has
By the way, this
purview.
is the second meeting in a row where we're presented with this issue of development, if you will,
Yeah.
and, residential development, and without much, at least from my perspective, much preparation. So
Yeah, without getting into the discussion about it,
well, I'm just
it
talking
is,
the process. I'm not talking
sure,
about the specifics. I'm talking about the process. So we have here a meeting, and several members of the community have come up and stated this issue, and it seems like there's somebody out there, like at the last meeting, although the people were here, who are looking to develop part of the space of Wild Horse as a residential area, correct? I mean, is that,
no, the last meeting was for Village Farms.
no, I understand it's a different place, but it's the same,
But it's,
I get that.
it's slightly different here, because that's open space, right, which is not in the jurisdiction or purview of our committee, or our commission. What was being developed for our Village Farms was a park that was going to be in the city inventory, correct?
Correct.
Which then becomes part of our commission's, goals and opinions.
Well,
We would be
precisely,
adopting in that
That's precisely
amenity.
my point. My point is that at least I'm hearing, correct me if this is wrong, that's part of the Wild Horse property, if you will, or maybe I shouldn't be too specific, is in fact considered under our purview?
No, the open space
Not the
easement
open space part of
is
it, the
under
other
open
part.
space. The land is zoned as a park, so it's designated as a park. The land, so for development purposes, not for our purposes. We don't deal with zoning of the land.
But there's the word park that you mentioned.
Right,
Okay.
so it's like zoning downtown is like commercial versus residential. And so it tells you what kinds of things can happen on that land. And so for anything to be changed, my understanding is that it would have to be changed as the zone. The zone would have to be changed, and that would have to go through a process, not one that comes through our commission.
Additionally, it's not owned by the city, correct?
Correct, it is private property.
Declines, I guess.
Okay, all right, we're gonna move on here and close public comment. So we're moving on to item number 5, the consent calendar. So these are considered routine and non-controversial, require no discussion, and are expected to have unanimous support. The consent calendar will be enacted by one motion. Commissioners may request items to be removed from the consent calendar for separate discussion and action. So the first, the only item here for consent calendar is an action item to approve the minutes, and I did see one small change here. On page 2, the public comment individual, David, his last name is spelled wrong, it's Shapira, not Shapiro. Does any other commissioners have any noted changes? would somebody like to make a motion to approve pending the correction of that one item?
With that change, I move approval.
And I second.
Great. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay.
I will abstain because I was not at the entire meeting.
Great. So we have 6 ayes, no nays, and 1 abstention. All right, thank you. All right, moving on to item number 6, the regular items. We'll start with A for the Teen and College Photo Contest Awards. And Tamika, would you like to go ahead and introduce these individuals?
Yes, let me pull up on your screen. Okay, so in response to our 2025 needs assessment, where youth and teens expressed an interest in pop-up events as a way to engage in recreational programs, we launched a teen and college photo contest that ran for this month of May, and corresponding with National Photography Month. And this was a youth-focused activity specifically for teens and college-age participants. The contest asked our youth to capture a creative photo representation of a city park, with the inspiration being community connections. The teen photo contest was free, and the college contest had a $5 entry fee. Program staff secured donated gift cards from Davis Downtown for the award recipients, and the program was promoted through social media, the Davis Senior High School, through the art department, UCD, and Sac State's art departments, the library, and flyers at businesses downtown. So we're pleased to announce the winners of the contest. Our first, and I'm not sure, are any of you the winners?
I'm Allison.
Okay, great.
And we have one more.
I'm Casey.
Perfect. So let me go ahead and announce our first place winners are Valentina Garcia Lorenzo and Casey King. And in second place, we have Nora Felt and Allison Snyder. And in third place, we have Kyle Kwok and Eva Peterson. And so on your screens, we have the photos that were taken, and you can see that they're at a variety of our parks. We had Sycamore Park was a popular one, North Star, Cedar Park, and also the garden over at Central Park. So we will be featuring these in our rec guide, and we're really excited as a way to engage our youth in ways of capturing different elements. And in the staff report, there was some comments that were made as part of the photo inspiration that I thought were just really captured the experience as well. So want to just thank everyone for the participation, and I have some certificates for them. So let me go ahead and distribute this.
Great. You want to go ahead and come on up? It's great.
Thank you.
I got to see it on Bob's iPad over here, which is much clearer, and they're amazing. And we look forward to seeing your artwork around town and in the next guide. So thank you for participating. All right, so we will move to, I guess I should ask, is there any questions or comments for our future artists here? Okay, so we'll go ahead and move to item B, the Community Pool Service Provider Annual Report. And Deanna, I'm gonna hand it over to you for a minute.
Yes, great, thank you. This should be somewhat familiar. We did this last year. In fact, we'll be doing it every year for the term of the agreement. In March 2023, the city awarded the RFP for exclusive use for community pool to Davis Aquadarts. The term of this contract was set for 3 years with an opportunity for 3 one-year extensions. So we are coming up on sort of the tail end of the initial agreement period. As part of their agreement, DARTS was to report annually to the city and to this commission on or before June 30th of each year. The annual report should include total hours provided by the program area, participation statistics by program area, and customer satisfaction survey results if they distributed such surveys. So tonight, we have Billy Doty with us tonight, CEO and head coach of Darts, here to present the annual report.
Thank you, Commissioner, for having me. Again, my name is Billy Dowdy. I'm the CEO for Dart Swimming. I've been here and working in Davis for the last 16 years running this program. I did submit a report, so I'm just going to be really, really brief, and then I'll happily answer any questions that you may have regarding that report. A couple things as I was reviewing it through that I could have added and I thought were really good kind of things that kind of kind of give a good overview of what we run in our program. One of the things that I probably should have added with our current programming that we run as DART, we do offer scholarships, I didn't put that in there. We offer between $12,000 and $20,000 a year in scholarships. It's all based around school lunch programming and that sort of thing. So no child in this town is turned away from our program. We actually don't maximize, but we do publicize that. It's out there for any kid, and a large portion of our community take advantage of that. Which we're really proud of. The other part is I think what we have learned to become in the last 2 years of sort of managing this relationship is we've kind of become an overflow and a catch-all from the city programming. And one of the really good examples of that right now is the city is unavailable to run like end of school parties and things like that for our school district. So within the next 2 weeks we have 5 different schools running back to school parties. So we'll be serving somewhere between 500 and 800 Davis youth that'll come through for end of school pool parties and things like that. So I think that's been a really good community involvement for us besides running our own programming is becoming that relationship and a catch-all and working together closely with the city on that part of it. Really at the end of kind of what I put out there are, one, I always like to thank the city staff. The support in this last 2 years has been fantastic. What we need and the relationship back and forth has been great. And then I did put in some concerns, as we move forward and sort of look at the end of this contract of the 3 years of some of the things that we see coming down the path. One was, insurance costs have dramatically changed in the last 3 years and have substantially impacted what we spend to continue to run that facility. Community Park, we started conversations now about some additional security and opportunities with that, with the 4th of July. I mean, we all know what happened on the 4th of July, an unfortunate incident. But also there was a break-in to the pool. Basically that crowd jumped the fence, popped the doors, and helped themselves to hang out in the pool area for multiple hours.
You're talking about picnic day, not
Picnic
4th of
day.
July, right?
Excuse me, sorry,
Okay.
yes, correct. Picnic
Okay,
day.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah, thank you for correcting me. So that was an incident. So we've been talking with city staff about how do we create better security, and just a little heads up on some of these events when that park's rented that maybe we need to have some security on our end too, for safety part. So those discussions have begun with city staff. And then with the Davis High facility coming in, it's just going to change the dynamic of pools in this area. And that'll just be something we need to look forward to, kind of work with the school district and see what else can be offered there and how that'll impact the finances at community pool. So I'm happy to answer any of your questions regarding that report.
Commissioners, do we have any questions? Go ahead, Commissioner Baker.
Yeah. Hi, Billy. Thank you for that report. First off, what's the anticipated opening of the high school pool?
Right now, they're saying anywhere between August 1st and October 1st.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's pretty close.
Okay, that's great. And then when you reference the challenges with insurance, is that liability insurance or are there is it other types of insurance?
Yeah, so for us with what's a little different in doing an RFP versus running what we would run would be, so if we're a USA swimming team, we would have insurance through that governing body, where now that we have public access and all that sort of thing, we have to have different insurances for every event and for public access events. Yeah.
Commissioner O'Neill, go ahead.
Yes, I also had a question about the insurance costs. I think everyone is seeing increases in insurance regardless of
Right.
what service, or where you live, or house, what have you. One question I had is, for groups that hold events at a dark facility, do they pay a portion of the insurance? Is there any participation in covering those insurance costs?
Not really. And the fact is, like, for the 4th of July, we just, we work with the city to continue to carry that tradition on, to open that to public usage. And so to manage that part of it, it's kept pretty similar to what a normal city usage time is. And that's just part of our RFP. We want to give back and create this relationship. So, yeah, it's just something that at this point we've just eaten.
Go ahead, Commissioner Hurd.
Yes, sir. So, knowing that the history a little bit of the new school facility and the cooperation with the city and the community was not stellar on the part of the school district, at least in my opinion. And I'm wondering, you said you're hopeful of being able to work with the school district? I mean, how hopeful are you?
I think that, all right, I'm going to be very politically correct here. I think it'll be an interesting relationship all around, like you said. There's going to be some roadblocks right off the bat. But I also know that being in the aquatics industry, I also know what their operational costs are going to be. And I think the school district is going to realize really quickly what they got themselves into by building a 50-meter pool. It might take a year or two, but I think they're going to need to create partners, and they're going to need to create opportunities to cover some of those operational costs, because it's going to be, up to $1 million a year that the school district, I don't think it's planned ahead for. Maybe I shouldn't say that.
That sounds kind of backdoor.
Yeah.
Commissioner Morego, go ahead.
Just, how are the facilities holding up for you? I know you're paying a lot of what's going on, but I'm just curious how the facilities are holding up.
Pools in Davis, they're older, but the great thing with the city is the staff has done a really good job of scheduling annual maintenances. So we shut down this year for a 2-week window block, and they work around when our really primary usage months are. So they did that during the winter time. A couple things were discovered. So as you read in the report, we didn't pay the full amount of the RFP because we ended up being closed for almost a 2-month window to get some of those things repaired. But for the most part, yeah, the plaster and the operational part, but just, the pumps are so old, they don't make pumps like that anymore. So when something breaks, it's creating that part. You don't just go to the store and buy that part anymore. So I think that's what, it creates longer windows of shutdowns versus, but yeah, it's still an oldie but a goodie.
Not the oldest.
It's not the oldest, but it's, yeah.
Any other commissioner comments? Go ahead, Commissioner LaFleur.
I was just curious on the city side then. So how do you actually budget for the inevitable pump breakdowns and replacements? Do you have some dedicated fund there that you're ongoing, or do you have to come in front of the council, or how do you pay for this stuff?
So there is a bit of funding that is existing in our operational budget to cover low-level things, but very few things related to aquatics end up being low-level. It seems to be that they always end up being extremely expensive. So we end up having to try our very best to be strategic about planning ahead. So as you saw in the community needs assessment, right, that was a 10-year forecast in trying to determine what the needs were going to be for all of our facilities, to include aquatics. And in that, there was, a timeline established for what would need to be replaced and what we thought it would take to replace those things with the appropriate inflators over time. So what we've done for this budget cycle, for example, is come forward and say, city, we need X dollars to cover aquatics. I want to say in our initial ask, we asked for something about $3.2 million in the next 2 years to address all the aquatics needs. And, you know, then we get the feedback loop, right? Like, no, you're not, you don't have $3.2 million. And then that negotiation, you know, situation begins in which we go, okay, what is our highest priority? What's, you know, the worst pool of them all? And try to start being strategic about what we address first with the money that we do have allocated for us. So that's where it stands now, but there is always that inevitable, oh my gosh, we hope nothing, you know, breaks in between now and then or doesn't align with our timeline that we've specified, because then it does become an emergency situation. And as we've discussed here in the past, our park impact fees cannot be used for maintenance-related activities. So we do have a healthy chunk of park impact fees sitting in a bucket, but the many things that we need to do and achieve are maintenance related. They're not net new facilities. So that's the challenge.
And through our participation through registration programs, we do pull off a percentage that goes into a replacement and maintenance fund, but it's you know, $1 per thing or something. You know, it's not a significant amount when we know how much our aquatic facilities cost to operate and maintain, but it's something.
Well, and I just, to add on to that point there, we are going to be pursuing a fee study, which will allow us to make some adjustments to what our cost recovery looks like. And we are very realistic about aquatics, know that we're never really going to get to the full cost recovery that it would take to maintain a pool, but we can certainly probably do better than $1 every now and then.
Thank you.
I can't help but think about grants when you get funding at academic institutions and their overhead costs that they take off the top of the grant is like 40 to 50%, you know, for all of those sorts of things. So you have to like, $1 is far from sustainable. So, okay, well, that's a story for another day. Okay. Does any other commissioners have other questions? Okay, I will close with a couple of my comments and questions. So going back to the insurance piece for like the community park events and the picnic day break-in, is that your responsibility as the RFP person then?
Correct.
Okay. So it's your insurance that then gets to get kicked in when somebody...
We get separate insurance, so we do like for a USA part, we have that part of insurance. For our Solomon School, we have insurance, but the city, and you guys would know a little bit more, but we do get separate insurance to basically coexist with the RFP, but then we do private event insurance for every public event.
So when something like that happens, that's still technically a city property. Is there some sort of investigation or something that you guys then look into as like the end of the day responsible party, even though they're renting the facility?
That's a good question. I don't know if we've brought that into our risk management, you know, discussion related to those events specifically, but we still do cover the facility, and, you know, the facility is still insured through the cities.
Sure. I just can imagine, and this, I apologize, this is my compliance hat that I brought from work with me to here. But I just like am concerned, like if somebody were to drown there and it's not on your watch, but like things happen, you know, and then it creates a big mess. So, I mean, you can look at any of the city facilities. The fences are low, like there's teenagers and college kids that can hop any of those fences at any time. It's not just community, but also at Community Park. It's in the middle of the park, people don't see it, right? Like Manor's off of a street, Arroyo there's neighborhoods, you know, like you can still see it, but community is a tough one because it's right in the middle of the facility. Anyways, and then my second kind of question for you is, you know, as you talk about the new Davis High School pool going into play, I mean, realistically, you know, I know you use the different pools and you use UCD's pool and all these different facilities, like bringing on more new water, what does that look like for your programming? And like, are you able to use some of that to expand? Are you able to, or is it not going to be exclusive and there's other people that can use that then take away some of your potential income and revenue because they're not renting from you, they can go to Davis High School and rent cheaper, like, those are, you know, is there other concerns that you're thinking about that I'm not?
I think you named them.
Okay.
I think that would be the heart of what would the programming be. I don't know that our programming at this point needs an expansion part. But yes, it would be, would other groups that currently rent facility from us be able to go? I mean, the one thing that is a little unique, and I kind of try to explain it in here, is that the city rentals are subsidized, through your tax dollars. We can't subsidize on that part. So some of our rentals are a little bit more than other groups. I don't know what the school district is going to charge for that facility. So that could be one of our concerns, is that yes, we start losing the rental facility funds to continue for us to support financially to make this RFP work. I think it will take a little bit of time for the school district to figure things out. So I don't think this is an immediate concern, but it's sort of a long-term discussion and sort of see what path it goes down.
Yeah, I also think, I don't know what the agreement between DJOC and the city is, but I know that the swim team and the water polo team use Arroyo exclusively, right, as their home pool. And so what does that look like for the city in terms of, I don't know if you guys, if it's just an agreement and there's nothing paid, but if there's lost revenue also for those costs for the city as well?
We have been preparing for this, and we actually think that we can expand some of our city programming to fill in the gap. With lap swim, we've had requests to increase the times that we have available for that, and so we're looking at some city programming that we could add.
And I don't believe it's a paid situation, right? It's an exchange of services, correct? I don't think they pay rent.
No, they do not pay rent.
Okay,
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah, so there's no, it's not a revenue loss, is what I'm saying.
It's
But,
a time gain.
yeah, okay. For one last question.
Sure.
And then I'll stop, I promise. For your camps, are
Yes.
you guys running those camps, or is that like
We do run those
track?
things.
Okay, so that revenue is exclusive to DART.
Correct, and we basically work with these groups, so we work with Davis High Track and subsidize out some of that money to them as co-groups that run it.
Sure.
But yeah, that is a programming that runs through us.
Okay, because I know that we participated in one that it was like track and field in the morning, and then they would go to community pool
Yeah.
and swim. So is that
Yep,
similar?
that is, yes.
Okay.
Correct.
And then the swim lessons and the swim teams and all of those things happen after the camp is done and for the summertime?
Yeah, and even some of those are incorporated in those camps, so I think those kids that participated have access to swim lessons and things like that during the camp times.
Oh.
But yes, they are separate times.
Okay.
Correct.
All right, any other questions? All right,
It gets a 5 a.m. to like 10 p.m. usage in the summer. It's a pretty good go time.
all right. Good thing you don't have neighbors.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
All right. Yes. I will open public comment. If there's any discussion on this, questions? All right, we will close public comment. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the next item on the agenda is item C, assessing recreational programming needs. And Janet, I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Thank you. Good evening. The commission previously requested data related to unmet needs within our recreation programming. I appreciate the opportunity to provide tonight's informational item, which will focus on registration trends, waitlist management, and efforts to assess and meet community needs. As you know, we continue to offer a wide range of quality recreational programs for all age groups, from preschoolers to seniors. These programs are both city-led and offered through contracted partners. This year's summer registration demonstrated the strong demand for our programs. Nearly 4,000 youth enrollments were processed, with 99% conducted online. Many camps reached capacity within minutes. Our summer waitlist includes over 1,500 entries, representing more than 650 unique participants still hoping to enroll in a summer program. To address this, our staff manage waitlists closely and explore ways to expand high-demand programs. Our most in-demand offerings continue to be our outdoor education programs, such as Camp Buddha, Trekkers, and Horse Riding Camp. For example, Camp Buddha filled all 400 spots on the first day of registration within minutes and had a wait list of 374. Trekkers had 48 participants and 41 on the wait list, and the beginner horse riding camp had 60 enrolled and 78 waitlisted. To meet this demand, we're evaluating how to expand capacity by offering similar programs or offering new sessions throughout the year. Programs like outdoor cooking, backyard adventures, and nature camp were introduced in response to the popularity of Camp Buddha. We've also expanded rec leader in training to the spring season, and we are developing a fall trekkers session. In previous years, the wait list was managed to fill vacancies. This year, we've implemented a tracking component for to show when a person is moved from the wait list to enrollment status. And in addition, we've to better analyze trends and in addition to better analyze trends from season to season, we have implemented a standardized numbering system, which you may recall was a recommendation from the community needs assessment. I will be happy to answer any questions.
Are you sure? I don't know. Just kidding. Okay, commissioners, any comments or questions for Janet? Go ahead.
So I guess I'm not clear. Are you planning to offer additional spots? You mentioned there were these enrollments and filled within minutes and so on, and there were all these people on the wait list, or all these children on the wait list. So maybe you mentioned it and I might have missed it, but are we still offering the same number of spots this year as we did last year?
We are offering, as far as capacity for the programs,
yes,
that is determined based on staffing and facility availability. And so, yes, generally speaking, it is the same.
Okay, it's based on, right, of course, it's based on capacity and facility. Is there,
But what we are doing,
theoretically, is there capacity to involve more children in these various programs? Is it, I mean, where is the roadblock is what I'm trying to...
so one of the things that we have done is maybe we don't have another Camp Buddha, but we are bringing elements from that camp and offering new programs.
Yeah.
And so that is where the expansion is.
Right, so where is the roadblock? Where is that, in other words, you have Camp Buddha, right? And I assume that the camp somewhere. Could that space, that physical space, accommodate more individuals and you don't have counselors, or is it just an issue of...
For that location, that's actually, we lease that space from UC Davis. And it actually is, they push back every year and do not want to allow us to have that space. However, we have been grandfathered in. And so adding more time is not possible at this point for that location.
Okay, well, that, I guess, are the number of locations for that sort of program.
We can make something similar,
Yes.
but it would not be Camp Buddha. And so that's what we have done. We have done like backyard adventures that are taking components from Camp Buddha and we are incorporating it in a new program.
Okay, so I'm trying not to be too, but I still have having a little bit of difficulty understanding your answers. So there's something called Camp Buddha with a program, right?
Correct.
Whatever it is, 7 days or whatever it may be. And it involves a series of activities. Is there a possibility of duplicating that experience in another site? And you don't have to call it Camp Buddha, but if it's the same experience at another site, it might be just. as
Commissioner
positive.
Siegel, have you been out to Camp Puda?
I've been out to Buddha.
Have you been out to where they run the camp?
No, I haven't, that's why I'm asking the question.
Okay, it's a pretty unique location. There's like the little, I don't know if you call it a creek. Buddha Creek. I mean, you know, I just wanna,
Swim in it, but it's. I go out
it's
there
not.
and swim in Buddha Creek, and there's a series of different areas.
so where the location is, it's a limited spot. Like it would be like bringing 50 families to a 5 campsite space, right? Like you can't, you're limited by space, but there's also unique nature elements within Camp Puda that cannot be replicated elsewhere, period, like anywhere around here. And I've lived here my whole life. So I think that what Janet is suggesting is that some of the best parts of Camp Puda that they can take and replicate at other facilities, that's what they've done to expand, to address the additional desires to do components of Camp Puda, so that they've basically expanded where they can in their programming. And especially with limitations in working with UC Davis.
With all due respect, I must say that I find it surprising, but not impossible, that this place is so unique that the experience cannot be duplicated somewhere
Well,
else.
do they still spend the night there too? Yeah, I mean, they spend the night too also, so it's gotta be a safe location that you can, you know, there's a lot of elements to this. They ride their bikes from there out to rec pool and swim for the afternoon, like, there's a lot of safety considerations
So
also.
let me just back up and say my desire here is to have more availability for the children of Davis.
I agree.
For programs that seem to be oversubscribed. I must admit, I missed the, there's 1,500 wait list, but for Camp Puda, I actually missed the data. You said how many people are in Camp Puda and how many are on the wait list?
400 and 376 on the wait list.
It's in your meeting packet also in the staff report.
Okay, well, do you mind if I ask the question?
It was 400 enrolled, 374 on the wait list.
400 and 374 on the wait list. Okay. Well, I guess
Commissioner Siegel?
I guess I won't pursue this any further. There's 374 kids who are not getting this experience that they want.
This
I'm
year.
simply asking the question whether it's possible to figure out a way to serve these 374 kids. If there's not, if it's impossible, then it's impossible. I will withdraw my questions, which just are simply around the issue of there are big wait lists, as we said. I have the feeling that there are no more spots, although I didn't get a clear answer to my question, that there are no more spots this year than last year. We're going to duplicate the number of kids, I suppose, roughly speaking, who are on the wait list, which includes 650 unique individuals. And if the city of Davis is saying that, hey, this is more difficult than the CRISPR technology or stuff that fine. I guess I can live with that. But I seem to be,
Yeah, some
so
of
I
the,
get the sense that these questions are unreasonable. All I'm asking is there a way to accommodate more children who want these programs?
so over the years, Camp Puda has always been in high demand. It's, I think, going on its 53rd year. I think all 53 years, it's probably sold out for all of it. But over the years, some of the things that we've done, because it is such high demand, is, I don't even know, maybe in 2000 something, we restricted it to being only 1 week per participant and residents only for the first part of registration. Because in the past, and in the long ago, I could try to sign up my child for 4 weeks of Camp Puda, and if I was one of the lucky ones to get the registration, I could send my child for 4 weeks. And so what we did is when we saw that there was this incredible wait list that basically could almost fill an entire another summer, is we restricted it. So now you can only sign up for 1 week of the however many offerings of the summer there are. So that was one way to address it, to say, how can we get more experiences out there to more children instead of saying, whoever comes, first serve. So that was one way of doing it. I think in one of the presentations that Ann Marquez, the supervisor over Camp Puda, that she said that they tried to expand at one point beyond the 50 participants per week, and that was not a good answer because it is a very unique program that bike rides from Central Park out to the Riparian Reserve. And when you have 50 kids with 50 bicycles, that need 50 helmets, that have 50 backpacks, that have 50 lunches, it's a lot for them to be able to take out there safely. And when you start increasing those numbers, we saw increases in accident reports. And when we got out to the Riparian Reserve, there's different activities that they do. So one group does archery for a little bit, another group does a hike, another group goes in canoes, another group does tie-dye and rock painting. And so they have these different stations that they rotate through. And as you had larger groups, then you had larger waiting periods there. And that wasn't ideal. We had more complaints about, I had to wait a long time for the archery, you need to have more archery stuff. And so it increased the needs that we had to have out of the programs. And then for the sleepover, it was too many people out in the space, and we were exceeding the space that was allotted by UC Davis. So we had to bring everything back down, and we said, the sweet spot is 50. If we go beyond that, then we have problems and complaints and safety issues. 50 is manageable for us. And so that's been what we've been going with for many years because we have it fine-tuned. And so being able to increase it because we have the need isn't worth the accidents, the safety, and the complaints. And so it's great. It's a great problem to have that we have something that is so desired by our community. And yes, we have 372 kids who are on the wait list, but they can go from second grade up through, I think, the end of sixth grade. And so there's many years that they can try to get into this program that hopefully in that period, they will get at least one of those experiences.
Thank you. So let me I'll stop here, but for the record, I think I'm the one who asked for this report because the original report was wonderful in terms of all the wonderful programs and this and that, but there was, in fact, for all the programs, most of the programs, a large waiting list. I simply asked the question, could the capacity be increased? So for the purpose of the minutes, so what I'm hearing is that the answer is no. There's no way to increase the capacity of the camp.
For some programs.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
I would, yes, I've not gone to Camp Buddha and so on and so forth, so yeah, maybe it's perfect and maybe there's no way to duplicate that experience and no way to increase the capacity for the children of Davis on the wait list. Okay, that's the answer, so be it.
I do want to make a distinction about caps for certain programs and net new spots over time, longitudinally, right? So say 10 years ago, we had 2,000 spots total for the summer. This is just for illustrative purposes. And now today, we've doubled. So we have added capacity. I don't know what that exact number is. I don't know if we can even speak to that tonight, but over time, capacity has increased, but for particular programs, there is a hard cap.
Fair enough, but less my cognitive. I asked a very clear question, is there more capacity this year than last year? And I believe the answer was, when all was said and done, no. So there's no increased capacity from 2024 to 2025.
For certain programs.
Oh, for the
For overall our camp programs, so I think Janet said that there was 4,000 spaces that were filled for a variety of all of our programs. We looked at DJUSD's overall enrollment for this year, and there's 8,247 students from kinder to 12th grade. So considering that we have 4,000 spaces that have been filled for summer programming, that we're about 50% serving DJUSD population of students, and we know that typically from 9th grade to 12th grade, they're not really participating with us anymore because they're now working with us. So that number would be even smaller. So I think we're doing a pretty good job when we say that there's less than 8,000 students in the community and we're serving at least 4,000 of them. I think that's pretty amazing, knowing that also there's 20 plus other programs out in the community that people can choose from. So.
Yeah, I applaud that because I think, you're still trying to bring in components of things that are obviously very highly desired. And And so it sounds like the outdoor cooking and the backyard adventures and the nature camp are all kind of components of that, and being able to facilitate. And those 3 programs have expanded your capacity for this summer and have been able to serve new people as well. Do all of those programs, and I apologize if you said this and I didn't see it here, but do those programs, are those full as well? Oh, that's okay. If you don't know, that's okay.
I know Summer Sampler was actually created to help with the demand of PUDA, and so one day, basically Summer Sampler is like the best of the best. And so you get like one day of Kids in the Kitchen, one day of Arts and Crafts Camp, one day of PUDA. And so on a day when our Camp PUDA isn't there and they're at Rocknasium, we send over our Summer Sampler group to the Camp PUDA area, and they get to do all of the rotations for one day. And so these were ways that we were like, okay, we can't make a new Camp PUDA. And even if we could create another outdoor camp, it's not Camp PUDA. We know that families still want a Camp PUDA, and this would be a Camp PUDA B, and that's just, it doesn't meet the need of what people really wanted. But Summer Sampler gave you just a little, you didn't have to commit to riding your bike for 50 miles for the whole week. It was just one day that you do, the 10 miles. And so that seemed to be another way that we were able to really address that demand.
Great.
I just, to kind of put an end on to the wait list discussion, though, I just want to add, because I'm not sure it was entirely clear, that this year, beginning this year, we will be able to tell a different story about the wait list than we have in the past. We will be able to tell a story about who has moved from wait list status to enrolled status, which will be able to paint a different picture about who ultimately is helped in the end. And I don't remember if it was in the staff report or not, but other things to keep in mind too is that, we don't have information on non-events. We don't have information about people who logged on and saw that there perhaps was a wait list and decided to not put their name on it, or withdrew from the wait list because they just had to make other plans. I mean, that's a reality, right? Some parents cannot say, oh, well, we'll just wait it out and see what happens. They have to proceed with a different plan altogether because they need to lock in their summer plans. So I look forward to being able to come back here and to share with the commission what the real and true story is regarding the wait list and how we actually are able to serve folks as they move from wait list position into enrollment position. And again, it's just not something we would be able to share in the past. So this was something that came out of the needs assessment, and we're really excited to try this new methodology and bring it back with the data.
Yeah, that's great that you'll be able to pull from more analytics and kind of give you a better picture of what's happening and the people that you're providing services to. So that's great. Commissioner Ono.
Yes, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for the report. I think it's very useful. And I think the creative use of new programming will help kids as they need to look for different programs and how to get into something they'd like to attend. And I think the waitlist stats that we get from this summer and the fall would be very interesting to hear. One question I had is, if I look at the future projections of development projects, I see possibly 3,000 new households represented in those development plans. That could easily represent 4,000 kids who would be looking for summer programs. So is that going to be, I'm curious, what kind of challenge is that going to be for the City of Davis, the Parks and Rec program, to meet that increased need? Because it's got to be looked at as likely to occur should those development projects go forward. Is the department looking at how to address those potential needs?
Well, I mean, actually, we have been faced with some different trend lines regarding demographics. We've been shown that really what we need to be preparing for today is our active adult population, and how do we actually bring more programming forward to support and serve our active adults versus youth, because we have declining youth enrollment all around, within the schools and the city, et cetera. So that's the problem we're really trying to solve for today. And that is what our needs assessment showed. Regarding any future development and the youth that would come as part of that, we would certainly, want to see those economic forecasts and what that ends up looking like regarding how we could grow, certainly our staffing so that we could grow programming and support, more children to that end. But without that modeling, it's just really tough to say what capacity building could occur.
So if future development projects get approved and move forward, is it possible to have that modeling discussion with the commission so we understand whether it's a program for children, a program for adults, active adults, what that model means for the department meeting those needs?
Yes, I mean, that as part of the development process, typically there are these economic forecast models that are, brought forward. With that would be, new tax revenues and new impact fees, et cetera. And that would help us understand, and for maintenance too, not just for programming, but also for the green stuff that comes along with all of this. So it is extremely important to have that economic analysis so that we understand what we're inheriting, both in the way of maintenance responsibilities, but also in the way of recreation responsibilities too. So yes, absolutely, that would be something that would come forward, similar to like Village Farms. We didn't get that far with the economic forecast, but.
All right, thank you.
Sure. Commissioner Hurt?
Yeah, just to that point, I think the school district officials were advocating for some of that new development just to prevent enrollment from further hemorrhaging as opposed to the growth. I mean, it's the decline in the student population that ought to be a primary concern rather than potential increase. But okay, my question, I have a couple of questions, just satisfy my curiosity. To what degree are these summer programs, including the camps, fee supported?
It depends on the type of program, on where it falls on our recovery pyramid. So I'm gonna say it depends. I don't have a specific answer on like.
You're gonna say 10% fee supported?
No, it's much more.
Okay, I would anticipate it higher.
Yeah, I would say like most of them fall around like our tier 3, which I don't have a pyramid in front of me right now, but I want to say it's like the 50 to 70 percentile of recovery, if not more.
And some of our more exclusive programs, say cake decorating or fashion camp, that's like $350 for 3 days or something. I mean, that all of those fees come in and pay for the contractor to come do that work, and the city takes a small percentage of that to provide the contract oversight and so forth. But then you have something like Rec Swim, which is entirely subsidized, and so both coexist under kind of a similar model.
And the other, I'm curious, you talk about once they get 9 through 12, they come work for us as opposed to the campers. Is there a similar waitlist situation for summer employment of the high schoolers or the teens who want summer jobs with our department?
I would say it's competitive. I mean, we have pipeline programs. So our, we call RLIT, our Rec Leader in Training program, is a training. We bring them in for 2 weeks. We train them how to work with us, how to interact with parents, how to supervise children, how to play these different games, and give them job skills, interviewing, resume building, and then they volunteer for us for a summer or 2, depending on their age, because I think we can start at 13. So maybe they volunteer with us for 2 summers, and then once they turn 15, they're eligible to go ahead and apply for our position. So depending on how robust our pipeline is, will determine kind of how many people we can actually hire out for it. But
you don't have any trouble filling the jobs?
No, I mean, we definitely did post-COVID because that shut down our pipeline. And so we felt it for a couple of years afterwards, but talking to staff this year, they didn't accept everybody that applied, but there was a good pool that they were able to select from.
Best summer job I ever had, 2 years in college, playground supervisor. Yes.
Go ahead, Commissioner Marigo.
I was just curious where we are with lifeguards. I know that was a conversation last year, that were we gonna have enough? It was short. Are we in a better space this year?
We are in a better position this year. I don't know how many total we have off the top of my head, but the coordinator that oversees the pools, she's actually ready to stop accepting applications. So it's good news.
That's great. Any other comments, commissioners? Okay. Yeah, I think my final question was just on staffing, because I know that had always been a little bit touch and go for the last couple summers, so it's great to hear that you guys have a pipeline. And that is the pipeline program, the recreation leader and training, what's the capacity on that program? Is it capped or no?
No, I mean, I think Janet mentioned that it's a program that we offer in the summer. It does fill up, but we started offering a spring session, so that way we could get them in a little bit earlier and have them during spring break, and then they jump right into doing the volunteering when summer starts.
So that's 13 and up.
I want to say it's like 13 to 15 about.
Do they do first aid or anything in that costume? Or is it just more
I think
like
so. It's been a while.
getting the kids off of their social media and actually learning how to speak with a human?
It's a great experience. My son did it a few years ago, and he built his resume with someone else, not with me. And then he went through his interview and learned how to answer questions and complete sentences and give good experience.
Didn't get any acronyms.
Yeah, it was really great. And he was able to take it on because I wasn't telling him how to do it.
Sure.
So it was wonderful.
It's always
For me, it was
taking
wonderful
better.
for me.
Yeah, it's a win-win. Great.
I would say regarding staffing too, something that we explored this year and pursued and were successful with is recruiting educators, right? So it's kind of the perfect situation for educators who are looking for summer work, who may not, have amortized out their paychecks throughout the whole year, who are looking for something to do in the summer. It just really never, I think, occurred to us before to seek out that very qualified pool of folks. And so I think we minimum have one teacher, maybe two, but at minimum one, who's going to be starting work with us this summer. And we are trying to get that word out too, that, look, we're looking for educators who would like to join our team.
Yeah, and I mean, DJUSD has a large paraprofessional staff that maybe not teacher level, but like paraeducators and, yard supervisors and other things that, they only work 10 months. So I'm sure that they would appreciate, having opportunities, because I do know that last time I heard there was limited summer school employment opportunities for all of those schools to then come to one. So that would be a good job pool for potential candidates.
Yeah, our nature staff person for Camp Food Ed is a para from DJUSD.
Yeah, that's great. All right, any other commissioner comments before we open for public comment? No? All right, close public comment. And then we'll move on to item number 7, the long range calendar.
Okay, moving along. So, looking ahead, in June, we have a meeting that's scheduled, but I didn't really have anything yet for an agenda item. And we do have the Playfields outreach on June 24th. So, I don't know if you would want to, in lieu of having a formal meeting, encourage you all to come out on June 24th instead to the inclusive playground design conceptual review with the community. And then we had talked about July having our landscape maintenance standards review with the electrification update, and review of the Brightview contract being 1 year. That's an option, but that right now is the only thing that we have on the agenda for that. And then August, we're dark. And then September, we wrap up our summer and come back and present how summer was to you again. I have been checked in with Ryan Chapman, not Ryan. Yes, Ryan. I was going to say Josh. Yes, Ryan, about the daylighting, so I will follow up with him on that one. Any suggestions, recommendations? Go ahead, Commissioner Arnold.
I just had a quick question for the landscape maintenance standards. Someone from Brightview will be invited to participate.
We would.
Thank you. And then I had one other question. We had a long public comment about the Wild Horse Golf Course and future development. And I noticed that we still have people in attendance. So it sounds to me that in our other discussion that open space or habitat and climate, whatever the new commission is, it would be appropriate for them and perhaps zoning, because it sounds like a zoning issue.
I think zoning falls under planning.
Under planning, yes.
And so, like I said, I was informed that the Wild Horse Golf Course and Open Space is going to Open Space Commission for next month. They have agendized it. So we can wait and see, and I can get an update from that staff liaison and bring that back to you as an update in our whenever our next meeting will be, if you'd like to have that kind of follow-up to it. But for us, as far as the Rec and Park Commission, we have in our purview recreational programming and park planning, but this wouldn't be considered park planning, it's zoning. And so I don't think I can check in with the clerk to see if it fits within our purview, but I'm thinking that it doesn't, but yeah, the clerk would have to give us that direction to say if it's something that we could be having as a discussion topic.
It might be useful to pursue that question, and it does sound this is more of at least a planning commission and an open space habitat commission topic, rather than clearly a park and recreation commission. But perhaps you can bring an update and tell us at our next meeting.
Yeah, and if there was a plan in place for any kind of development, as you know, for other kinds of developments that have come forward, when it does impact park space, then those planning things come over to our commission through those channels. And so that's also a way to be able to see if something comes our way.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Commissioner Siegel.
So I remain a bit confused about the nature trail, whether that's considered open space or whether it's considered part of the park, as well as everything else that was discussed. I don't have a particular opinion about this. I don't play golf, by the way. But I see where there is a great interest on the part of the community to have this as part of our agenda, and I don't see any reason not to. I'd like to understand this. In fact, I'd like to sort of understand, because we were, at the last meeting, had a long presentation, discussion of village farms, right? And yes, I realize they have a park in the southeast corner, but when people think about, if we're going to take a position on village farms, I'd also like to know what the other alternatives are. It seems that we're being drawn into some discussions about residential development, but not other discussions about residential development. And I'd like to be educated on all the various options. I mean, is there a plan that somebody has somewhere where it compares? Are there other developments? Somebody mentioned outside this meeting, we were talking about this, something about the area across from Harper Junior High School, I guess it used to be called Shriners, that there's a plan for development there. So there's all these development things. I'm not exactly sure what our role is. But I'd like to know. If we don't have a role, we don't have a role. But then I wonder why had this lengthy discussion about Village Farms, other than the fact that there was a park in the southeast corner. So I'm not sure exactly where our responsibility ends or begins. And I see no reason not to have it on the agenda, it's just to have a discussion.
So up on your screens, I have the purpose and function for the Open Space and Habitat Commission. So you can see that they advise on matters related to wildlife habitat, habitat restoration, public access, and open space, trail connectivity between the open spaces, to review and make recommendations on the spending of the funds dedicated to maintaining the existing open space and acquiring new open space and conservation easements.
I think it's actually on both. If you look at the parks, it says, serve as lead commission and implementation efforts of the Parks and Facilities Master Plan. And if you look at the master plan, the entire golf course has a P, so it's a park and it's open space, so it's probably both of you.
I think it would help if you let us comment.
Well, we've already commented on this topic of open space.
Well, this is on the scheduling, so it's a different topic. It's under,
I think that this is the same topic, and I think what we need to do is refer it back to the city clerk to identify and define exactly where it is and which commission should clearly speak on this. I also think that if it's gonna go to open space first, it should go there, and you can report back to us, and I'm happy to bring it to an agenda item on our plate as long as the city clerk identifies that it's in our purview for our commission, as well as already being heard by the open space. So I would support it to go on our agenda for future items as long as those things happen.
just make a comment.
I will follow up with the city clerk.
Great.
It's an open space issue and park.
I
And it is in the purview.
Thank you. I hear you. I understand. I think that we still need clarity to make sure that we're within jurisdiction. We also need to make sure that it's a properly agendized item too. So, and I support putting it on the agenda as long as it goes through those channels, okay?
Just to understand that it's about, we're not asking about for you to get into the land use issues, we're asking about the recreational uses and the.
We understand.
Okay, because I didn't get to that part because I ran out of time.
We understand, and I think all of us are willing to hear it, an agendized item, this, as long as we have the move forward from the city clerk.
It's not just a zoning issue, believe me.
Thank you.
It's not just a zoning issue.
Okay, other commissioners, do you have
I
other?
just want some clarification on your suggestion, which was excellent.
Sure.
But it is, do you want to get agendized a report to us on what the Open Space and Habitat Commission consideration?
Sure, I think it can be part of a.
Regardless of whether the city.
Sure, I mean, for all of our curiosities, I think it can be part of the staff report, and there can be a short blurb that includes it in some of our items. I don't think it's, I think it's informational.
Separate from the.
Sure.
From the determination.
That, as long as staff thinks that that's appropriate, I think that that's fine with me.
You're also all welcome to go and attend the Open Space and Habitat Commission. It looks like it meets the first Monday of every month at 6:30 here. So if you wanted to go to the one in the beginning of June to be able to hear the presentation yourself, you're also welcome to attend that.
Okay, so let me just then say that I feel like that there is a gray area here, and there may be other gray areas that fall between more than one commission having a role, like, for example, the Village Farms project. So I'm going to make a motion, I may be the sole person, it may not get seconded, that this discussion of this wild horse usage be agendized, and we put it on our agenda. I'm not actually personally sanguine about the village clerk, or the city clerk, or whoever this clerk is, making this decision. Frankly, I think we are somewhat shirking our responsibility to say, okay, let the city clerk make this decision, and then if the city clerk decides it's okay for us to discuss it, we're going to discuss it. If the city clerk decides it's not, then it's going to open space and we are not going to discuss it. So I'm gonna make a motion that we actually put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
Is there a second? Okay, there's no second, so the motion is not gonna pass.
But it is gonna be part of the minutes that it was, that a motion was made.
It will be
Okay.
likely to reflect.
All the high school teams, like, play on this golf course, kids play on this golf course, and David, you were saying like, you know, we need more, there's oversubscribed programs. Davis Municipal Golf Course is massively oversubscribed. What will happen to that golf course? Also, some, she was saying about serving active.
This isn't agendized, we cannot have a discussion.
I'm just trying to get you to consider putting it on your agenda, and it's the agenda item is to decide the new process.
I think we've spoken, and if there is any commissioner members that would like to make a motion otherwise to check with the city clerk or agendize it, please feel free to do that now.
Madam Chair, you suggested a moment ago, is that in form of motion?
If you would like to make it into a motion, it can be into a motion, and we can ask for a second.
Okay, well, to restate, your suggestion is that we get an opinion from the city clerk, whether this is in our purview, and B, that we get a report back to us on the discussion and any actions that might be taken by the Open Space and Habitat Commission relative to this issue.
Is there a second?
Second.
Great.
Who wants to take a second?
Commissioner LaFleur. All in favor, please say aye. Any nay? All opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? Please speak up. Okay. Commissioner Siegel, did you vote at some point?
I said aye.
Okay.
You didn't hear me?
All right. No, I did not hear you. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure that we have the correct. Yeah, that's okay. Okay, so all ayes, 7-0. Thank you. All right, any other items that we would like to consider for our agenda or long-range calendar? Go ahead.
So are we canceling June's meeting to go to the park thing?
Playground?
Yes, I think it's a great idea.
I support that also. Can you please give us the date and time?
June 24th, it's a Tuesday night from 6 to 7 out at Playfields.
Do we need to make a motion on that, or can we just do it?
No, we can just do it.
Okay.
Great. Any other items for long-range calendar? No? Okay, great. Any objections to adjourning? If not, okay. I will adjourn the meeting at 8:13. Thank you, everyone.